Welcome back to She Talks, a Soul Healing Essentials podcast. I'm your host, Allie, the spiritual architect. Today we're going to talk about the solar plexus chakra. I think this podcast is way overdue, so let's dive in. So we've actually started talking about the chakras in previous episodes, and unlike most discussions about the chakra system, where it starts from the root chakra going upwards, we've been covering them from the crown chakra downwards. And the reason for that is how I clear the chakras when I work with clients in Reiki and other modalities. So I also think that the other reason I do this is because it brings the divine through the body rather than our rooted belief systems coming up the body. Right? So I know that there's Kundalini rising, and I believe that that happens most successfully when you've got a clear channel to navigate through. But when we're talking about clearing the chakras, I prefer to go from the crown, as in bringing the divine through the crown, because that's our connection to the divine is the crown chakra. Then bringing it down into our third eye, where we're now in connection with our inner guidance and our intuition and dream state. And then we bring it down into the throat, where that's the chakra of where we're interacting with vibration. So we're interacting with our voice as well as our listening. And then we bring it in through the heart. And the heart's sort of the epicenter, right? So everything really ideally is done from the heart, from a place of love. Both are receiving love and the ability to give love. And from that perspective, when we speak from a place, from a heart space. And when we listen from a heart space, and therefore avoid confusion, misunderstandings, etc. So bringing this down into the solar plexus now, again, through that connection with the heart, right? So ideally, you're connecting with your heart, and as you relate to the outside world via your solar plexus, it is coming from a place of love. So the solar plexus chakra is mostly associated with how you are perceived in the world, right? But more importantly, it's how you believe yourself to be perceived in the world. And there's that slight difference. So if we, for example, have an out of whack solar plexus chakra, it can do a lot of damage to our self-esteem, our inner confidence, and then we navigate from an imbalance. So we maybe act or take actions that highlight self-abandonment or compromising, that sort of thing. So where this chakra is like an ego-based chakra, in the sense that ego protects us in a variety of ways, it could actually have you coming off as insecure, right? If we've got that overactive ego, we tend to come off as a more insecure person, right? And now this isn't to be confused with egotistical. This is simply the beautiful perspective of our ego trying to guard us at all times based on past experience, right? So from that, let me just grab my notes here, which I seem to have completely lost. So the physical location of the solar plexus chakra is just below the rib cage. So it's right along the spine, but just below the rib cage and above your belly button, right? Sort of like the center behind the stomach. It plays a pivotal role in the development of our transformative energy. So it's that oomph in our belly. It's that energy that propels us forward, calls us to action. We get this brilliant idea, and it's the solar plexus chakra that allows us to carry out whatever it is that we've thought of, which is quite beautiful. It governs the pancreas and the islets of Langerhans, which I feel like I'm totally butchering the pronunciation of, but this is responsible for regulating blood glucose levels and food digestion. That's the part we wanted to get to. So when you've got that knot in your stomach, or you have that gut instinct, if you sometimes don't act on your gut instinct, right? You get that icky feeling in your stomach, and over time this can actually present itself as digestion issues because you're constantly overriding what your intuitive self is trying to guide you towards. So that's where I was mostly going with that. So like I said, this chakra or this energy center is associated with self-esteem, and it's that warrior energy, that confidence, that get up and go. It develops in puberty, and it can also kind of be associated with the pituitary gland and even the pineal gland, right? So it has to do with, again, you've got that idea of what you should be doing or what you'd like to be doing, and then it travels hopefully via the heart, right, from the pineal and pituitary gland via the heart of, well, should I be acting, should I not be acting on it, and then if your gut instinct, right, that feeling in your belly says, yep, this is definitely what I want to do, then you've got that energy to sort of propel you forward into your beautiful idea. It's considered the center of strength and balance, both emotionally and physically. And so, like I said, the upper chakras are more etheric, but they also they have a lot more to do, I feel, with your emotions, like with your daydreamy, sort of loving, what's the word here? Just that it's actually hard to put into words, which is funny because we're talking about the etheric chakras, but it's that I've got to go do this, and then there's the physical, which is more your lower chakras, where they, that's the connection to the earth, that's the connection to your basic needs, that sort of thing. So that's your hands-on sort of thing. So this is the center of that point, right? So as we mentioned, it's associated with the sense of self-esteem, self-confidence, responsibility, reliability, personal power. It also has to do with sense of humor, which I love, spontaneity, shame, but most importantly, it's that gut instinct. And it's so the solar plexus chakra is said to form from about 18 months until about age 4. And I think it's when we discuss the sacral chakra and the root chakra that this will make sense. But the chakra system is said to sort of develop from bottom to top as we get older, right? So the first chakra to really kind of take its hold or develop is the root chakra, and the next one would be the sacral, and then the next one is the solar plexus. So as we kind of learn our way around the world and we learn how to navigate through our family, through friends, and just interactions with others, we then get into, okay, so this is how I'm going to present myself in the world. And that's the solar plexus chakra. It tends to be one of the most blocked chakras and the root of a number of common complaints. And the main thing to study is the other chakras and then heal those. And then often the solar plexus will actually balance itself. So if, for example, you've got an issue with, solar plexus tends to be a lot of gut issues, right? So it's, let's say, digestion. A lot of times digestion has to do with your inability to sort of control a situation, right? So you'll notice often that if you've got something coming up and it's giving you a lot of anxiety, I think that the most common thing is, oh my gosh, I feel sick, and you kind of grab your belly. And a lot of that times it has to do with, number one, you feel that you can't control the situation, but mostly it's based on past experience. So if you've been taught in your family life, for example, that you should be nervous in these types of situations, then you tend to be more nervous than someone who's always been shown this is nothing to worry about, right? So say you've got a big review coming up. If you are someone who already fears being able to provide for yourself, or that you kind of don't have what you need, then that review is probably going to make you a lot more nervous than someone who knows innately that they will always be provided for. So hopefully that makes sense. So when it is open and balanced, then you tend to feel like you're more in control of your life, right? So you feel like your thoughts and emotions don't sort of fly away from you, or like a runaway train, they just sort of carry on their own, and you're sort of left stressed and, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next, right? So when it's balanced, you kind of feel at ease. You feel like everything's sort of, okay, so I can deal with whatever is kind of thrown at me. You feel fairly leveled, right? And more importantly, you're willing to take risks and have confidence in your own success. So you are more likely to, go back to that example of the review. You're more likely to go into the review and go, well, maybe I'm not going to get, just stars all around. Maybe there's probably stuff that I could work on, but I know that I'll be okay in the end. If I've done a good enough job, I know I'm liked, and even if this review goes poorly, I know that I can do something else and take care of myself, right? So if it's unbalanced, though, the solar plexus chakra tends to drive you to have no boundaries, or you're unable to set boundaries. You're unable to accept criticism, and you really fear rejection. So we've kind of talked about that. You're more likely to go into that review with knots in your stomach, with panic, and you're more likely to be nervous of, oh my gosh, I don't know what's coming, right? I also think that this chakra, like I said before, everything has to go through the heart chakra. But when we're meditating or focusing on our chakra system, I feel that it's best to kind of send a little bit of extra love to the solar plexus and then to the aura, as the fire in your belly is what powers the rest of you. So it's this center, this energy center that not allows you, but I would say this is the energy center that drives you to interact with others the most. And it's potentially where you can leak the most amount of energy. And we'll do another podcast about protecting your energy, but actually, let's talk about it now. So when it comes to the solar plexus chakra, if you kind of send your love, a little bit of extra love to that energy center, and you maybe meditate on it a little bit longer, what I like to do is focus on my heart, and I envision sort of like a white light, but it's not just the white light. It's like a God spark, right? It's that very, very center of you that's nothing but love, nothing but light, nothing but pure essence. And what I like to do is connect to that and then allow it to grow. So in my mind's eye, it grows and grows and grows until I'm completely surrounded in it. And what that would essentially represent is that I've given all my focus onto that energy and allowed it to grow so much where it's grown beyond me and into my aura. And then if that energy is in my aura, I am more likely to interact with the rest of the world in a, I want to say pleasant manner, but I think what it mostly is like my best foot forward. If I've got that energy and I've been focusing on that, and I want to, again, come from a place of heart, but come from that beautiful energetic space before I interact with others, I'm more likely to be received better. I'm more likely to feel more confident in that moment. And I know that no matter what, even if what I've said or done isn't received as I intended, it came from a really good place. And eventually and essentially, people do feel that. So let's talk a little bit more about how imbalances show up in the solar plexus chakra. So we know that if everything is beautiful, then we come off as confident and, steady on our feet, and we've got this high self-esteem. We know that we're going to be successful in whatever it is that we try. But if this chakra is very overactive, it tends to show up as poor health, emotional distress, where we can be dominating, controlling, manipulative, and power hungry. And gosh, looking around the world, where do we see that, right? We can have anger issues, excessive stubbornness, desire for control, perfectionism, being overly critical. It shows up as eating disorders and can also show up as ulcers or digestive issues, right? So this is if it's overactive. Now, I would say that digestive issues are going to show up if it's blocked or overactive, because essentially it's our inability to control a situation, especially a situation that we feel that we should have control over, where realistically, when in life does that happen? So, and a blocked chakra would actually show up as low self-esteem, low energy, weak willpower, poor self-discipline, and you'll feel physically and emotionally cold and distant when interacting with others. And it's that inability to set and maintain boundaries, codependency, lack of self-control, depression or anxiety, addiction. And again, we come back to ulcers, digestive problems, but even diabetes, asthma, respiratory issues. Now, I'm not saying that someone who's got these ailments, 100% it's the solar plexus chakra. I'm just suggesting that sometimes when it's a continuing issue and we haven't addressed it, it can show up that way. And you know, when the body shows signs of dis-ease, usually it shows small, tiny increments of it before it builds up into something huge, right? So if your body's trying to tell you little things like you have belly aches all the time, or digestion is kind of iffy, it could be acid reflux, that sort of thing, it just might be a good idea to have a peek at this. And best way I feel to do this is just to meditate on it. Literally ask your body, where's the problem? And if you're an avid meditator, you know that right away, basically your body tells you. It starts to communicate with you of where the pain is. And a way that I even like to do this is during meditation is I'll even ask, hey, can you turn it up a notch so that there's no room for confusion, right? So if it is in my solar plexus, can you turn that pain up just a little bit in this moment so that I know that is definitely the spot? And then I can kind of look back at it. Another really obvious way to know that something is out of whack is notice the colors you're drawn to. Because often if you're suddenly drawn to, in this case, bright yellow and lots of citrus, so lemons and things like that, it might literally be your body's way of balancing that out within you. And you'll kind of know, trust your intuition above all else. So let's talk about other ways to balance the solar plexus. Obviously, diet and exercise, which is good for everything. Soothing foods or drinking soothing teas. Certain yoga postures like sitting postures, spinal twists, cow pose. Those are really good for this posture, right? Because it actually revolves right around that epicenter of the solar plexus chakra. Now, and this is the surroundings. So if your chakra is underactive, which we've talked about, let's go back there. If it's underactive, it's that whole boundary things, codependency, lack of self-control, depression, that sort of thing. You would surround yourself with the color yellow. So like I mentioned before, if you're noticing that suddenly you're really attracted to yellow, just have a peek, because it might just be that solar plexus chakra is a little bit underactive, and in which case there could be other things that you can do to kind of come into balance faster, right? So if it's overactive, you would surround yourself with the opposite color, which would be purple. And a beautiful way that I like to balance this chakra is simply spend time in the sun. So it could be early morning, if you've ever heard of sun gazing, which is way before the sun's full power comes out. You would simply look at the sun, right? So not middle of the day so that your retina's burned to a crisp. It's more right at that dusk and dawn time that you would look at the sun and help absorb that energy into your system. From an energetic perspective, aromatherapy or meditation, and again, you'd meditate on the color yellow. So if you simply can't get to the sun gazing, just meditate on that color. Surround yourself in yellow and notice how it brings you a sense of peace while you're doing it. Affirmations in order to balance this chakra would be, I love and accept myself. I respect and honor myself. I can achieve anything. I believe in myself. I deserve to be loved and respected by those around me, which is, just kind of a beautiful set of affirmations anyway. And again, what I would do with these is simply get into that meditative state, pick one so that you're not having to memorize all of these, and just sort of repeat that to yourself, or better yet, try to feel what those words, like what tactile feel they would have inside your body, right? So I love and accept myself. What does that feel like? And then imagine that emotion or that feeling running through your body in like a wave and balancing everything out. Again, imagine the bright yellow flower opening over your navel, or golden glowing ball of light, or a burning flame. So imagine that yellow or that fiery energy surrounding you and waking up inside of you, right? An exercise that you could also be doing for when you're feeling energetically drained. So say that you're meditating on your solar plexus chakra and you just feel like that energy is just draining from you, right? So what I talked about before of give this chakra just that little bit of extra love and a little bit of that extra energy, because it does feed your aura, and your aura is how you are perceived in the world. So if you're noticing that your energy just feels like it's constantly draining, and I mean, listen even in those words, if you would express to someone else, gosh, I just feel so drained, chances are that you are literally draining energy. You're literally leaking your beautiful, vital energy that you need for yourself. You're leaking it, or someone is draining it from you. So if you've ever heard of energetic vampires, literally we all have these people around us where it just feels like you're the one giving them their energy. And it is quite beautiful, but you don't have to give it from within you. There's energy all around us. Universal energy is so abundant. So rather than draining yourself to support this person, focus on, I'm going to actually seal my aura so that my energy is for me, so that I can contain my energy and feel full and abundant, and then be able to give from a space of that abundance. And then you could really just visualize how it's the universe giving that person energy in order to lift them up. So the concept would be, number one, you can't give from an empty cup, but it's the same as if we're on an airplane and the energy masks come down. We need to make sure that the the air mask is on us first before we help others, right? So it's the same sort of concept. So sealing that aura and keeping your energy in order to sustain you, you can then visualize universal energy going into the person that's trying to siphon energy off of you, because they obviously feel like they need it and they don't have enough. But instead of you giving them your own personal energy, you get it from the universe. So this particular exercise is perfect for that time where you just feel energetically drained. So cord cutting, right? So you can kind of, in a meditative state, again, visualize who it might be that is siphoning the energy from you. And without judgment. Again, most people don't want to go around and drain anybody. They don't want to go around and hurt anybody. People aren't inherently good. But if someone enjoys being around you and you just notice that afterwards you're very, very drained, it could simply be because they just don't know how to get that energy from themselves, right? So, bring your attention to your solar plexus, to your stomach. Visualize a fine silvery energy cord that is attached from you to that person, whoever it is that you feel this might be happening with. And see how that connection, where it connects to you, right? And then think about this person and being in contact with this person, and notice that the link between you is being strengthened, right? So notice how this cord isn't just this silvery little cord. It suddenly is stronger and stronger as that energy passes between you. Now, with a beautiful and loving energy, go ahead and cut this cord. So cut the cord so that the energy isn't coming from you, and see that this cord is now attaching straight to source energy, so that they are still getting what they need, but now no longer draining you. I really, really hope it makes sense. Once you are detached from this person, so once you've cut the cord, surround the person with healing green light, wish them well, right? So it's with love and light, and we want to make sure we bring harm to absolutely no one. And then feel the release from your solar plexus. Pull any remaining energy back into your solar plexus, and then say to yourself, right, through your mind or out loud, I bring all my energy back to me. And now cover and seal your solar plexus with yellow light, and just kind of know that you are protected and safe. And again, then from your heart, seal that energy, seal that beautiful aura of yours, and seal that energy in. And see now that you've got your own energy and you've connected that person to source. Now, better yet, you would talk them through all this so that you both are sitting in your beautiful yellow energetic bubble. But if that's not possible, then at least see them being attached to source rather than to you. Hope that made sense. I feel like I jumbled a little bit all over that. Now, specific foods that you can eat and consume in order to balance your solar plexus chakra would be yellow and orangey foods. So squash, sweet potatoes, pumpkins, lentils, yellow and orange peppers, lemons, corn, pears, apples, brown rice, oats, that sort of thing. Okay. Some essential oils. Usually like warm and spicy essential oils, but also chamomile and lemon and ginger, so slightly acidic ones, black pepper, cinnamon, clove, sage, juniper, and geranium. So these are the perfect essential oils. And you'll kind of notice if you've got these essential oils around you, smell them. And if it's, in my opinion, a smell that is just so beautiful to you in that moment, and you kind of feel like, oh, I've never, smelled clove in this way. It's never smelled so great to me. It's probably the one that you need. I am not of the opinion that if you smell an essential oil and it absolutely does not smell good to you, it is absolutely uninviting. I am not of the opinion that that is the one you need. I tend to lean towards your body makes whatever it is that you're lacking be really, really appealing to you. So just give that a whirl. And having said that, if I mention an essential oil and that's not it, kind of smell other ones and see which one feels really attractive to you. And that's probably what you need in order to balance out whatever's happening. Okay, some crystals and stones. So mostly I'd say a lot of the yellow ones, right? So there's yellow jade, tiger's eye, yellow jasper, sunstone, amber, emerald, and sapphire can be used to calm the solar plexus, citrine, and yellow tourmaline and topaz. So beautiful yellow stones to balance out this beautiful chakra. Right? The sound for this chakra is Ram, which I really like. So you can kind of say that to yourself a few times and see how that goes. And like I mentioned before, some of the best ways to go ahead and balance out this chakra is to simply meditate on the color yellow. But what I would also suggest with that is meditate on the color yellow, but also just connect to that part of the body. The body is really wanting to communicate with you. It's often that we don't listen to the subtle hints that our body gives us. And it isn't until our body is screaming at us that we kind of go, okay, I'm going to deal with it now, right? So it isn't until there's a toothache that we finally address that something's been happening in the mouth all along. So it's the same with this. If you're noticing that there's some issues with digestion, with the belly area, pay attention right from the beginning, and meditate on it and see what the issue is. Your body is probably going to tell you. You might then need to take additional steps, of course, but this way you are teaching your body that it can trust you. You're teaching your body that you will listen when it tries to communicate with you, and I guarantee it'll be a more harmonious relationship, and you won't be so baffled about what your body's trying to do. So I think that about wraps it up for this episode. Thank you for joining. If you'd like to connect further, please visit www.soulhealingessentials.com for a free chakra journal outlining the chakras. And it also allows you an opportunity to meditate on each chakra, take notes on how the meditations and your connections with your chakras evolve. And it's always beautiful to go back and, review how you've progressed with this. So be sure to check that out. It pops up right at the beginning. Simply type in your email and that chakra journal will arrive in your inbox. For feedback on the episode, topic submission, or general feedback on the podcast, you can email shetalks@soulhealingessentials.com. And if you joined this episode, be sure to hit the subscribe button on your podcast feed. And if you'd like to submit a voice message to be used on future episodes, go to anchor.fm/shetalks/messages. And whatever message you'll leave will either, like I said, be used on future episodes, or at least I can consider the topic and definitely cover it if I can. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, me today. My dog is next to me, so us. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.